Keep all this announcement and talking going on, I won't have to teach tonight. That'll put me a week ahead for next week.
I was just sitting here thinking, I hope you don't ever lose that cell phone.
Well,
All the info you got.
it's too big for me to lose now. What's that? Uh-huh.
About the time we got seated and ordered our food, just about the time food came, this little lady come flying down through the alley there, and all the way in from the front door come to our table. Walked up there from the table, and she looked over there, Rita said, you can be the secretary. And Mr. Warren said, you can be the song leader. And looked over the preacher and said, you can be the preacher. I said, well, he is a preacher. and we just had church. I mean, she just went on and tell us where she went to church. And
Ah.
I mean, people said that with her children, you know, that she took care of and all that and all. And about the time she finished that up, this man come in and she was telling about her children and all the sticks and come in.
Mm-hmm.
She was the only one to come in at that time. But then this man come down the aisle and sat down there at the table, and there was two of them. And then 3 or 4 more came in and sat down at the table. And she said, this is my children. And she started introducing them and all, and said, that's my husband. But, we just always had church. Our preacher Dave, he got in on a little too, and we just had a good time.
Ah.
And the blessing of the Lord just fell there, and I mean, we really had a good time.
Oh, good.
The best part about it all, she looked up and said, you know how old I am? And she said, I'm 94. She said, my husband sat there and said, he's a preacher, and he's 96. And it was just all of that. But it just really blessed my heart.
Lord works miracles.
God is
Uh-huh.
I mean, they just say spiritually, you can just feel the spirit all over.
Hey, Lord's all around us. Every so often we slow down and we realize it. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Gib. All right, we're going to knock out at least one letter to the church tonight. Revelations chapter 3. We'll begin in verse 7. Chapter 3, verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Because thou hast kept thy word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast which thou hast, that no man may take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit said unto the churches. Okay, does anybody know anything about the city of Philadelphia that's we mentioned in the Bible? Not the one up north where the cheesesteak is from. Man's fourth greatest contribution, the cheesesteak. It's in Asia Minor, yeah. It was the youngest of the cities that John wrote to. This city had not been around for a long time. You know, I told you some of these other cities had been around for hundreds of years. Some of these cities had been in existence so long, they were city-states before they became part of the Roman Empire. Philadelphia was a new city, relatively speaking. It was not that old. What does Philadelphia mean? What's that? One who loves his brother. Brotherly love. The city of brotherly love. You know something interesting about the city of Philadelphia? It was founded for one reason. Anybody know what that reason was? What? Holy? No. No. There was one reason that the city was founded. Yeah. It was founded to be a missionary city. This city existed for only one reason, to be a missionary. You think it was supposed to be a missionary for God when it was founded? No. The city was founded to be a missionary of Greek culture. The people who founded this city wanted to influence the surrounding cities and the surrounding people and bring them into the Greek-speaking world and into the Greek fold. They were so successful, and Philadelphia did such a good job with this, that the people in the surrounding area forgot their normal language. They forgot their native language, and everyone spoke Greek. They were very effective missionaries of the Greek culture. We're going to see that again here in a second. What do you notice about this letter to Philadelphia that's different from all the other letters that John writes to the churches? It seems like they were all living for God. Look at this. There's lots of praise here, isn't there? Do you see anything negative in this letter to Philadelphia? No, this church knew what was going on. This church was doing it right. Jesus didn't have a thing bad to say about Philadelphia. That should be what we shoot for, isn't it? How awesome is it for God Himself to say, I don't have a problem with you? Can any of us say that about our lives right now? It would be so nice if we could live up to the city of Philadelphia. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk here about verse 7. A couple of things I want to note in this. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith, number one, he that is holy. Who is holy? God. Is anything besides God holy? No. What is Jesus doing by identifying Himself as holy? He is saying that He is God. Do you see Jesus establishing Himself here as being God Himself? You cannot call yourself holy unless you are God. Jesus is reinforcing the idea here that He and God are the same. Not only does He do that by saying He that is holy, He says He that is true. Is there anything except from God that is always true? No. Everything of this world, everything that was created, no matter how wonderful, no matter how great it may be, at some point there's a falsehood in it, isn't there? God is the only thing that is always true. Amen? So Jesus is calling Himself not only holy God, but He's calling Himself truth, the true God as well. Finally, He comes to this. He that hath the key of David. Does anybody know where that comes from? I'm missing Joe and Terrell tonight. In Isaiah chapter 22, let me read you a few verses. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will call my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and I will clothe him with thy robe, and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government into his hand. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder. So he shall open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. Does that sound like something we just read a few minutes ago? Remember when we started this, I told you that John liked to quote the Old Testament? We see John here using this passage from Isaiah not to refer to the servant Eliakim, but to refer to who? To refer to Jesus. Gets a little bit more interesting. Let me finish reading this passage. This is coming from Isaiah, the 22nd chapter. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place. What happened to Jesus? He was what to a cross? Nailed to a cross. Am I reaching too far here in this, or does that make sense? I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place. And he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house. And they shall hang upon him all the glory of his father's house, the offspring and the issue, all vessels of small quantity, from vessels of cups even to the vessels of flagons. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in the sure place be removed, and be cut down and fall, and the burden that was upon it shall be cast off, for the Lord hath spoken. Did Jesus stay nailed to the cross? The sin that nailed him to the cross was flung off after he died, wasn't it? And he rose again. I may be stretching this a little bit. You can stop me if you think I'm taking it a little too far, but I mean, this seems to be, a little bit confusing because John is pointing to Jesus by pointing back to the Old Testament to show how the Old Testament was pointing to Jesus. Did you follow me on that, or did I lose you? I think this is a foreshadowing. John is showing how the book of Isaiah foreshadowed the death of Christ. That's just a little extra thrown into you. All right, verse 8. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. I have set an open door before you. Why did I say this city was formed? As a missionary city. This city was made to take a word and to go out and spread the word. How effective would it be to go into a group of people that was used to taking a new idea and spreading it, to take the idea of Christ and His church to them and have them spread it among other people? You think God had a plan in mind when He told John to write a letter to these people? I think these people were doing a bang-up job. God Himself is saying, the open door I set before you, you're taking a full advantage of. We'll move on. Verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Think back a little bit to Easter. You remember how when Jesus first entered the city of Jerusalem, how did the Jewish people react to Him? Now think about when that week before He was crucified, when He came riding on the donkey, they were praising Him. They were throwing the palms out. They were throwing their coats out. They were singing His praises. But by the end of the week, they were yelling, "Crucify Him." The Jews expected the Messiah to come down and to immediately right all of the wrongs that had been done to them. The Jews expected the Messiah to be a great military or political leader who would immediately establish the kingdom of God on earth. The Jews expected God to make all of their enemies suffer and to serve under them. You follow me on that? Verse 9 again. I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. The Jewish expectation of the Messiah was for an earthly reign. They expected, like I said, that the Messiah would come and punish on earth those who had done them wrong. Was that God's plan? No. But what is Jesus saying here? After the great judgment, who is going to be put under whose foot? The people who truly love God, the people who truly get God. The Christian who serves God is going to be elevated, and the so-called chosen people are going to be put under their feet. Why is that? Because Christians worship God. And the Jews got confused and worshiped the law. Remember, I told you, who's the greatest deceiver? The Jews worshiped the law, which was supposed to point them to God. But instead of using it as a tool to point towards God, they worshiped the law itself. Christ is reminding them that they've gotten things confused, and that instead of their enemies serving them, they will serve their enemies because their faith has not been placed in the right place. Y'all are quiet tonight. Anything I say so far strike a chord? I'm going to start giving y'all questions to ask. Okay. Verse 10. Because thou hast kept thy word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. A couple weeks ago, y'all asked me if any of these churches were still in existence. No. I mean, like I said, Islam came across that area, and, if you weren't Muslim, you were not dealt with good. However, Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, held out longer than any other city in that region. The Muslims came conquering not too terribly long after these letters were written. Islam was established around between 600 and 700 AD, and it wasn't too long after that they started off on their conquering and started to take over all of Asia Minor. All of Asia Minor, with the exception of Philadelphia, very quickly falls to the invading Islam and invading Muslim forces. Philadelphia itself holds out as a Christian city. They hold out until the 14th century as being a Christian city surrounded by Muslims. That means a lot, because I don't know if any of you keep up to date with the news, but are Christians welcome in some of the more fundamentalist Muslim countries? No. You have a very stern look on your face. Do you see how amazing it is that Philadelphia lasted so long as a Christian city surrounded by things like that? Imagine the power of their faith that they were able to survive all of the persecution and everything for so long. Do you see why Jesus was so happy with them and wasn't able to say anything bad about them? All right. Verse 11. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man may take thy crown. What do you think Jesus is implying when he says, behold, I come quickly? Is it good or is it bad? Oh, I'm not asking for it. Is it good or is it bad? Exactly. It's good to hear this, that Jesus is coming back quickly, especially if you're a persecuted Christian. If you are suffering because of your belief in Christ, it is good to hear that Christ is coming back quickly. But if you don't believe in Christ, It's bad, because what happens when Christ comes back and you haven't accepted him? Yeah, it's not going to be good. Asbestos underwear. Jesus in verse 11 is reassuring his people. I'm coming back. You don't know when, but I am coming back. It is a calm reassurance not to lose faith, not to lose hope, but Christ has promised that he will return. Which brings me to a whole point, another point. This is going to be a little bit of a rabbit, but it's going to be fun. How many of you think of people who try to predict the end of days with the book of Revelations? You ever run into people like that? You ever run into people who say they found a mysterious code in the book of Revelation that tells them when the exact day is going to be and the end of the world is coming? Yeah. What's that, Joe? Oh, yeah, that Y2K. You know, I have run into so many people. I've run into so many people who write books saying, oh, well, you know, you take this number of letters and you put it in this other language and you do this and it'll give you the exact day that Christ is coming back. Do any of you believe that? Who said that not even he knew the exact day and hour? Jesus. Now, call me crazy, but isn't it a little presumptuous to say that you know something that Jesus didn't know? I mean, let's be honest. How big do your britches have to be to claim to know something Jesus doesn't know? Y'all, I'm saying all that to say this. There are a lot of people out there that take this book of Revelation and try to pull stuff out of it that's not there. Be on guard. You must read this book, you must know this book, so that you may refute those who would testify falsely because of this book. Revelation is about a lot more than prophecy. This has not been confirmed. This was just told to me. This is not 100%. I don't know. I haven't checked it out. This is not Pastor Trey telling you the gospel truth. This is just what I've been told. Did you realize or did you know that there's more prophecy in the Gospels than there is in Revelation? Somebody told me that this morning. I haven't finished investigating it yet. But the person who told me this really made me think. That'd be a good job. That'll be homework for some of y'all to look that up. Amount of prophecy in the New Testament, in the Gospels, as opposed to the amount of prophecy in Revelation. So, that's your homework. Well, see, that's what's so crazy. These people spend so much time studying these and doing so much in-depth word study of it, and they miss the whole point. If you got Jesus, do you need to be scared? No. Have I told you about the Spanish prisoner yet? All right, this is really a rabbit, but hey. Spanish dude got in trouble with the government, was condemned to spend the rest of his life in a tower. So he spent 17 years in a tower. The only thing that he was given was a Bible. Well, he stayed up there for 17 years, and, one day the guards noticed they didn't hear any sounds and his food hadn't moved, so they opened the door, and of course he was dead. They walked in, they were astonished because he had carved in the wall these amazing facts about the Bible. He carved in the wall how many times the letter E appeared in the Bible. He carved in the wall the exact middle of the entire Bible. He carved all of these obscure facts about the Bible in the wall. But there was no record of him ever scribbling on that wall about making a decision and accepting Jesus as his Lord. You can know this book better than any preacher, better than any Bible scholar. You can know this book 100%. But if you don't know the dude who wrote it, it ain't going to do you much good. So to all those people who take Revelations and read it really good and think they know all these answers, I go back. You got to know the guy who wrote it and what he said. So, okay, verse 12. He that overcome, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. You ever go to church and see those little plaques dedicated in memory of? We don't have those on our windows, do we? They're in the back? Okay. Why do we do that? Honor them? How great an honor is it for God Himself to write your name on a pillar that's in His temple in heaven? That's pretty big, ain't it? Do you see how much honor God is bestowing on this church for doing its job? Wow. It's huge, people. Huge. Do you know anyone who we would call a pillar of this church? Don't embarrass people by calling out names, but just think in your mind. Who's a pillar of this church? A pillar of a church is somebody who the church has relied upon, someone who's kept the church going, someone who has been there to support the church, even if nothing else was going right. We have people like that in our church. They are good and holy people. And in the short time I've been here, I've learned, the people that I've learned who are pillars, I respect them and I love them because they're doing a great job. Christ is saying, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God. If you can stick it out, if you can persevere, if you can stay true even when the world attacks you, do you see the reward that God has set aside for you? I will make you a pillar in my church. It's pretty high praise, isn't it? Remember that next time the world tries to get on you, tries to run you down. Do something that would make God proud. He shall go no more out. That's a little sentence, but there's a lot in that. One of the things about Philadelphia is, I don't know what it was with people back then, but whenever there was a fault line, you know where earthquakes happen? These people thought that was the best place in the world to build a city. I don't know. Philadelphia had a lot of earthquakes. And when I say a lot of earthquakes, I mean it made San Francisco look pretty stable. Around AD 17 years after the death of Jesus, Philadelphia had an earthquake so bad that a lot of the city was leveled. This earthquake was so bad that the aftershocks of the earthquake lasted for an entire year after the main earthquake. The historical writers of the day say that most of the people of the city of Philadelphia fled the city and lived in tents and in shelters outside of the city. There was, however, a group of people who remained in the city during all of these aftershocks. These people were known to spend all of their time doing one of two things. They were either patching up the holes in the wall, or they were running out of the city because there was another aftershock happening. All that to say this. Christ is saying to the one who overcomes, he shall go out no more. That may not mean much to us, but to the people in the city of Philadelphia who grew up knowing what it was like to have to run out of the city at a moment's notice, the peace of having a permanent home that was under no threat of natural disaster, that was under no threat whatsoever, would have been an immense comfort. All of the struggles that they faced at the time would have paled in comparison to the peace of knowing that they were safe and secure. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to give y'all little pieces of paper next week, and y'all can write down. You don't have to sign your names, but we're going to make this more interesting. All right. I will write upon him the name of my God. What do we always talk about when we talk about the book of Revelation? The mark of the... Do you know there's 2 marks in Revelations? There's the mark of the beast, and there's this. I will write upon him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God. What is Jesus saying when he says that? God himself is going to write upon us a new name. We always talk about the book of Revelations and the mark of the beast. We talk about how horrible it is, about how people, who take the mark of the beast can do this or that. Did you ever realize that this was in here about Jesus marking us himself? How many of you out there are breathing right now? Jesus is going to mark those who persevere. Now, I had an interesting conversation with somebody earlier today. How many of you like the movie Toy Story? Believe it or not, when I was in college, I looked like Woody. I was that skinny. I also had hair too, so. Those of you who love the story, what was so special about Woody? What made him different than all the other cowboys? He was a leader. What did Andy do to him to make him special? Wrote his name on his foot. And that name on his foot made him special. It made Woody know that he belonged to somebody. Having someone write their name upon you means somebody owns you, doesn't it? I'm not talking about getting somebody's names tattooed on you, which you should never do. But if God himself writes his name upon you, do you realize how significant that is? God is claiming you. And if God claims you, who can take you away from that? Who does God say he will write his name on? Him that overcometh. The world's going to throw a lot of things at us, isn't it? We're going to have days where the whole world seems against us, and we're going to have days where everything seems to go wrong. We're going to have days when Satan is on his A game, and he's going to tempt us, and he's going to try us, and he's going to run us into the ground, and we're going to throw up our hands and feel like we're ready to give up. You had days like that? To him that overcometh, I will write upon him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God. The devil may be marking his people, but God is marking his too. Be strong and persevere, so that you may have the name of God and not the name of the beast. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. What's your translation say? What's the last word in your translation on verse 13? Church is. What's significant about church is? More than one? He's saying it to all of them. Should we keep what we have within these walls? Message of God is for who? All the people. Don't ever let us become a church that keeps what we have. Because the moment we keep what we have, it goes away. The great paradox of God's love is the more we try to get rid of it, the more we try to give it away, the greater it grows. And the tighter we hold on to it, the less there is. We are to share We are to be good little children and share what our Father gives us. All right. Really wanted to get to Laodicea tonight because it really contrasts very good with Philadelphia, but we'll have to save that for next week. So, thoughts, questions, comments about what we spoke of tonight? Am I boring y'all to tears? Y'all going to have to do some homework or something. A lot of the information I'm getting comes from William Barclay. He has an excellent commentary series. I would suggest, if you're really serious about it, see if you can find it, because a lot of my information is coming from him. He is a great scholar. I would suggest him to you. Do your homework so we can have good discussion next time. I know, homework, it's a bad word. Anything else going on we need to chat about before we dismiss tonight?
I want you to know the devil's been on my back, and you know that. So I would like to do more work. I would like to volunteer for Vacation Bible School.
We're going to put you to work.
I'll get that devil off of me somehow.
Good deal. Because I think Candy was telling me we still have a few jobs that need to be filled. And I don't know what they are, but we need help. We're hopefully going to have a Vacation Bible School meeting here real soon. One day the pastor's going to get settled into his house and get everything settled and be back on his A game. Maybe eventually. All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Who wants to close us out in prayer tonight? Go for it, Charlie.
Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and just learn a little bit more about your word. Lord, we just thank you for Christ and what he did for us to save us all, Lord. Lord, thank you for being a good God and